Hey, I'm John Hazel, automation expert and business strategist.
And I'm Kevin Miller, seasoned podcaster and lead developer.
And this is the Automate and Elevate podcast, where we're going to help you build systems, create leverage, and scale your business.
And on today's episode, we're going to dive into some very important productivity habits that you can implement to really fast charge your business and improve your life. So, John, I'm going to let you go ahead and get this started.
Yeah. So, a little bit of background, real quick. Personal productivity and personal knowledge management have been passions of mine for as long as I can remember. Um, and every once in a while, you stumble on something that's just invaluable, and where you're like, I need to run my life through this. And sometimes we're on top of it and we dive in the way we need to, and we engage and we build our life around these new habits. And other times, we just we're inspired by it, but then we just move on, right? And then there's times where we do engage fully and we adopt the new habits, the practices, and then we fall off the wagon at some point. This is the place that I'm at in this particular methodology that changed my life in 2019 when I discovered it. And many of you listening to this podcast have probably already heard of it. It's been around since 2004, I believe, is when the original book was written, and the principles were laid out and formalized in like the 90s. The system is called Getting Things Done: The Art of Stress-Free Productivity by David Allen. It's a book. You can get the audio book. There's all kinds of resources online. If you have engaged a lot in the personal productivity space, then you've probably heard of GTD, which is what this is. GTD is short for Getting Things Done. And it's a methodology to systematically manage the knowledge and information coming into your world. So, what I'd like to do is walk you through the system comprehensively, and then I'll recommend some resources to you. So, I'm going to share my screen here and show. Well, actually, before we do that, let's talk. Like, Kevin, what does personal productivity mean to you, and what have been the things that have been challenges and slowed you down, or frustrations in that space?
I mean, to me, personal productivity is getting whatever done that you've intended to get done. I mean, what slows most people down, including me, is just I guess you have impediments, you have barriers to getting started because usually once you get started, that's when you start picking up and you start getting things done. Like, just like working out. If you never just get up and get in the gym, you're just gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna just skip tonight. But once you start lifting even a little bit, once you start going, then it's a lot easier to keep going and get it done. So I think
Yeah,
that's the main thing.
yeah, that's exactly right. Like once you build that habit, right? There's great books, The Power of Habit and Atomic Habits, about how to do that. And one of the hacks for me personally has been the Keystone Habit. And I don't remember which of those books I got that term from, but the Keystone Habit is like take a habit that you already have and tack the new habit you're trying to adapt onto that habit. So it's like, if every morning you get up and you eat breakfast, and you normally just brush your teeth at night and you want to start brushing your teeth in the morning, tack the habit of brushing your teeth onto the end of eating your breakfast, right?
Yeah.
Whatever the habit. No, that's an obvious pair, but it doesn't have to be that obvious. It could be like, if you want to be aware of what's going on in the world every morning, then as soon as you start your car, you create this keystone habit that when I start my car, I open my podcast app and listen to, the Morning Brew Daily or whatever the podcast is that you want to get your news from. So, a keystone habit is just taking something that you're already consistent with and tacking on the new habit you want to develop, right? So let me share my screen. I'm going to talk about GTD. So we all have all of these different inputs coming at us all the time, right? So you've got ideas happening, you've got phone calls coming in, you've got emails, you've got text messages, you've got all these different things coming in, all these different inputs. The first step of GTD is you define what your inboxes are. So instead of these things coming in random places and you've got scattered notes all over your office and you've got, phone calls that are just sitting in your mind that you haven't written down even what your action items are, you collect everything into specific inboxes. So for me personally, on my phone, I have a folder of apps that's in the bottom of my phone. So it's right by my thumb, where my thumb is. So I tap on that, and that folder is called Inbox. And inside that app, I have my email, my text messages, my phone call / voicemails, and then a notes app. I use an app called Drafts because it's kind of designed around GTD principles, where it's treated as an inbox. It's not like a notes app for permanent reference. It's like every note is meant to be processed and triaged somewhere else. So ideally, you have some kind of app where it's designed around the notes I write in here are inbox items, right? And you've got your specific sets of inboxes. Then, so that's called capturing, right? You got to capture all this stuff into specific inboxes. Then you got to clarify, what is it? What does this mean to me? What is it? Is it actionable? That's the main question. Is this something I actually want to take action on? No. Can I trash it? Is it just trash, recycle, shred, delete? Do I need to incubate it? Am I not ready to move on it right now, but I'm not sure what I want to do with it? Maybe I just need to snooze it, right? A lot of email apps, you can do this in Gmail now. You can just snooze an email so it comes back to you later. That's incubate. And then there's reference. Does it just need to go into a folder somewhere where I can access it when I need it? If it is actionable, is it more than one step? If it's one simple next action, which is a clear, physical, visible, single action, then do it if you can, if it's less than 2 minutes. If it takes less than 2 minutes, then it's better to just do it right now while you're processing your inbox than it is to organize it into a system. It's going to take that much time to organize it into the system. So you might as well just do it. If it will take more than 2 minutes, can you delegate it? If you can delegate it, do that, but then put it on a list called a waiting for list. So that way you're not just dumping it on somebody else, you've delegated it and you're going to actually follow up and make sure it happened. If you can't delegate it, then defer it, because it's more than 2 minutes. You're not going to do it in the time you're processing your inbox. You can't delegate it. You got to defer it. So there's 2 ways you defer. One is I need to actually schedule time on the calendar. Now, for the most part, I reserve my calendar for actual meetings with other people, because time blocking doesn't work for me. For some personalities, time blocking works great, not for me. So my calendar is just when I'm actually meeting with somebody. If I put a task on my calendar, I will probably not end up doing it, and then I will forget about it because the day will pass and it's gone. So that's where this is a huge unlock for me with GTD, is that I have a next actions list. These are the next actions that I need to do. And then I have tags. So some next actions are phone calls, which is like a context. So when I'm driving, the only 2 things I can do is place phone calls and listen to something. So if there's something that somebody sent me that I want to listen to, then it gets the hashtag listen tag on it. And if there's a phone call I need to make, it gets the hashtag calls. And then I have a driving smart list that pulls in those 2 tasks. Here's all my calls, here's all my lists. So when I'm in my car, I can just, okay, these are the things is there anything I want to do on this list? No. Okay, I'm just going to listen to music or whatever. Or yes, I need to make this call, right? But because I've organized it into that context, then I know that when I'm limited by that context, these are all the things I can do. And this is where GTD starts to really feel magical, because based on the context you're in, you can do high energy, low energy, lots of time, no limited time. So these are my 5-minute next actions versus my 2-hour next actions, right? And you set up these context lists so that depending on the context you're in, you can just get stuff done, right? If the task, if the action is multi-step, then it's going to take more than one next action, then it's a project. And so you put it on your projects list, and you got to make sure that every project has at least one next action so that you know you're making progress on that, right? Larger projects, you probably are going to need to plan out. You may even want to do a Gantt chart or something, but you at least need to have a next action for every project so you know you're making progress each week. And then you will have a folder for project support materials, right? Now, I talked before about the horizons of focus. So that's what these are. You have your purpose in life, or your purpose in your job, or whatever it is. You have your vision of what you want to create in your role in your business. You have your goals, like SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound goals that are going to lead you to that vision. And for each goal, you need to have areas of focus, like what are the roles that you take on in order to achieve that goal. And so when you have those horizons of focus very clear, then it's obvious what projects you need to do in that space and what actions need to be done, right? And so then I kind of already talked about this, but you have your context. What can I do in this environment? How much time do I have? And then what resources? So like I'll even have a hashtag mobile, hashtag desktop tags on those next actions where it's like, all right, I'm on the go. What can I get done from my phone? I can pull up that list and see all the things I can do in mobile. So then throughout your day, you have unplanned work that's coming in, right? Surprises, maintenance, spontaneous actions. And then you have your predefined work of all the things that you already planned out on your lists. And then you actually have the work of defining work, of like processing your inbox and figuring out what work is. And so throughout your day, you're doing these three things. You're filtering them through your horizons of focus. And so then when you're choosing what you're going to execute, you can trust that it's right because your system has everything organized where you know what you're choosing to do and you know what you're choosing not to do. Because otherwise, I always have this anxiety of like, am I working on the thing I should be working on right now? Is there another priority, right? But when you follow the system, then you know I can trust my judgment because I have a full inventory of actions. It's complete, it's current. My horizons of focus are in focus. I know what's important. And my intuition is in play because my head is clear. I'm sharp and my mind is relaxed and my decisions are intentional. And the interesting thing is once you implement this, then you end up having energy, more clarity. Your mind is clear. And so you end up coming up with more ideas. You get progressive thinking, you get creative ideas, and those things go back into your inbox and you can actually handle them. Now, what most people do in life is we just get these random inputs that we leave unprocessed. We get more surprises, more maintenance, more spontaneous actions. And then we're like this guy with the umbrella, just hoping it's right. I'm driven by the latest and loudest, whatever's urgent. I'm unsure about what I'm doing. I'm unaware of what I'm not doing. And my inventory of actions is incomplete and out of date. And my intuition then is inaccessible because I'm so stressed out and unclear and unsure, right? So that's what we don't want, right? But if you follow the system, if you know what everything is on your plate, then you feel confident. The one thing I kind of didn't mention here is, so we talked about capture. You're capturing everything into clear inboxes. You're clarifying what it is and where it belongs. And then you're organizing into the proper place where it belongs. And then you have to review. So at least once a week, you have to take a good sized block of time. Usually for most people, this can take a couple hours where you're reviewing your calendar for the previous week and the next week. And you're thinking about, did I miss anything from this week that I need to add to my inbox? And you're looking at the next week and saying, what do I need to prepare? You're looking at your next actions list and deciding what are the priorities that I need to focus on. Another thing with that is having a someday maybe list or a deferred list that's like, these are things that I want to do at some point, but it's not really priority to move the needle where I need to move it. But you're reviewing your next actions list, your projects list, and then at least once a month you're reviewing these higher horizons of like, are my areas of focus, goals, vision, and purpose, are they aligned still, right? I would say probably once a month you're looking at areas of focus, goals, and then probably once a quarter or once or twice a year you're looking at the vision, purpose, principles, right? You don't want to let this go on forever, because it's like, your purpose 5 years ago might look different from your purpose now, right? So you got to have those weekly reviews, quarterly, monthly reviews, quarterly, biannual, and annual, because things change at that pace. And there's another good book out there called The 12-Week Year that's really good for that, like being focused in those quarters and 12-week segments. So I know that's a lot. I just gave you the whole system in like 10 minutes. But when you follow the system, I probably like 6-7 years ago, I had this fully implemented, and life was flowing so well. And I was so like clear on what I needed to do. My mind was clear. My memory was better. And now I'm in a place where I'm like, I got to get back to this. It requires a considerable amount of discipline, really strong habits. And so it can be hard to maintain. But when you do it, you are your most optimal self, right?
So what do you think it was that kind of pulled you off of this system and into, different patterns?
Great question. So like I said, it requires discipline. So every day, when I was in it, I was motivated by getting that inbox zero. Like, I get a little dopamine hit from hitting inbox zero several times a day on my text notes, my drafts, my emails, my text messages, all these things. I would like every day, several times a day, I'm like processing those inboxes and hitting zero. So I get a little dopamine hit. So that became kind of my source of dopamine instead of like scrolling TikTok or whatever, right? And then the other thing was probably the hardest thing is the weekly review, right? So like, weekly review is the thing where you have to really have discipline to set aside, depending on how complex your week is and how much you're juggling and everything, it could be up to like 4 hours to be able to review every part of your system and think through what the next week is going to look like and all that. And so it's really easy to fall off the wagon with that. And the thing I think that's key is having that like be sacred in the calendar. And even if it gets cut short and you can only do 30 minutes, like, you have to put some amount of time every week to the weekly review, or the system falls apart. And the daily review is really good too. But I had really good habits at the time around working out in the morning. So I would like get up and I'd go work out, and I would do like a casual like hour and a half workout that could have been like a 30-minute workout, but I do it slowly, and I would process my inboxes on my phone like in between sets. And that worked really well for me, because I was like kind of, clearing my head and working out my body at the same time. And I think once I fell off the wagon with working out, I slowly fell off the wagon with GTD as well, and the weekly review. And so it is like a disciplined lifestyle. And on the Myers-Briggs, I'm an INTP, which means my driver function is extroverted intuition, which is all about exploration. And it's like, my personality has a very hard time sticking to routines. And so over the years, I've had different seasons where I was strong on those routines, but I'm finding my way back to this now.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I think this is a great stopping point. So like, if somebody wanted help implementing this system, are they able to reach out to you, and do you provide like coaching on how to bring this into somebody's life?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I love David Allen. I love GTD. So please go. I don't know if they still have they used to have a podcast that was really, really good for a while back then. I don't know if it's still on the podcast store, but if you can find those podcasts, they're really good. Get the audiobook, get the book, buy this map that I'm showing you. I bought on their website. Please buy it. It's just, yeah, fantastic. Go for all of his resources. And then second, yeah, please reach out to me. You can hit me up on LinkedIn. Just send me a DM. That would be amazing. You can go to my website, johnhazel.com, and check that out. You can visit me on any social platform, really, but LinkedIn is the main one. And I'd love to chat.
Yeah, before we get out of here, did you want to give them any homework or any closing thought that they should keep in mind?
Yeah, there's a lot more. I gave you like the brief overview. There's a lot more to it, and so if you listen to the book, you'll pick up different tips that, like, there's so many good tips throughout the book, and so you'll find the ones that resonate with you. And one of the things that's most important is like just freaking do it. And don't get too caught up on having the perfect system, on having all the perfect automations. Like I have all these little automations built into that system, but I had to start out doing things completely manual to make sure I could get to the place where it made sense to start automating pieces of it, right? But it's best to, like, even if it's slow, execute manually until you really understand it. David Allen talks about doing it on paper. I never fully did it on paper. It would have been a huge waste of paper for me. But like, start as simple as you can and start somewhere. And before long, you'll start to see the product. Even if you just implement the 2-minute rule, like when something hits your desk, if it takes 2 minutes to complete, just get it done. That can be game changing for you.
Awesome, man. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Catch us next time.